instead of you directly.
Welcome to For Such a Time as This, Reverend Deborah Johnson, and what you're looking at on the screen is a video that we're going to be playing back from last week, September the 20th, 2017. Let's start with an opening invocation. Let's take a breath. We open with the awareness that God is all there is. There's power in the presence of wholeness, of peace, of possibility, of joy and trust, unlimited power. We come here to align with this essence as our very being, to awaken from the hypnotic trance of not enoughness. We come here to vibrate at the ethereal vibratory pattern, to tap into that energy field of pure potentiality, to call it forth into materialization so that we manifest here right on earth, the highest heaven. We come here to close the gap between spiritual truth and our everyday experience, in our own lives and in our collective lives. We give thanks for everything that's transpiring at the most minute level to the most planetary level, knowing that all things are working together for good towards healing. It's with this sense of purpose, it's with this sense of gratitude that we begin, knowing that it's good, it's very good, we get out of the way, we allow it to be, and so it is. So it is. So last week we got a spirit message, and it lasted about 25 minutes, and then we had about another 25 minutes of question and answers. And we are going to review.
Welcome everybody to For Such a Time as This. We come together to live a deeper awareness of ourselves as spiritual beings to usher forth the beloved community. And today is Wednesday, 20th of September, 2017. Okay, let's take a breath. Let's take another breath. Within the breath of life, the goodness, the fullness of life. And we come here to speak life unto life, to activate within ourselves an inner awareness that is so deep and so profound and so rooted that it bears constant fruit. We give thanks for this exquisite time, this time beyond time. We are open, we are aware, we are listening. We bless this state of communion with one another, knowing that we are uplifted, we are inspired, step into our greater yet to be. We declare it all to be good and very, very good. And we just get out of the way. Allow it to be. And so So it is.
So it is. Amen.
We have mail. This is the original Gmail. Before there was Gmail in their life, they called it Gmail for God mail. We got mail. About to get a spirit message, and comes in the form of a letter. While I was given the date, so today is September 17th, 2017, of Reverend Devin Johnson in Inner Light Center for our weekly session called Such a Time as This. And we are looking at social justice issues through the lens of spiritual oneness. The letters come with full punctuation. Although I can string the punctuation out, I will not. Because it's easier. You just do it as it comes, plus at the point in time of transcription. It's much easier with punctuation. Isn't that there? At the conclusion of the message, there will be an opportunity to ask questions. You can feel free to do so at that particular time. This is probably about 25 minutes. And I will most likely close my eyes because it's easier to focus. Yes, indeed, comma, for such a time as this. Period. As you know, the time is not a particular moment on the clock. Period. This time is beyond anything that appears on a calendar. Period. This time is an age. Period. It is a season. Period. It is a moment of great mounting unfoldment with an urgency that does not escape the human awareness. Period. For such a time as this. Period. Next. Moment. This is an evolutionary time. Period. When there is evolution, there's not simply change. Period. When there's evolution, there's not simply growth. Period. When there is evolution, there's not just merely transformation. Period. When there is evolution, there is a transitioning into something that was always meant to be. Okay. Understand what I'm saying here. When you are really trying to change, when you're trying to transform, there is a tendency to focus your attention on the matter and circumstances at hand. That is to say, that you are moving from that to something else. Period. However, the focus is on where you are now, and moving from that place. Period. Next. Period. However, when there is evolution, The evolution precedes whatever is taking place in that point. In fact, at evolutionary moments of the matters at hand can sometimes eclipse what is really trying to come forward. Here, notice the difference. Here, there we go. When you're going for transformation and you're going consciously for healing, you are quite aware of what you're trying to get away from. And you remember your often says, quote unquote, pain issues until vision or experience. Next paragraph, however, evolution is stealth. It comes in under the radar. Period. While your conscious awareness is caught up in the dramas of the jour and all of the things that are going on in the outer world, sometimes you miss the subtleties of that which is innately a part of you that is coming into a greater fruition. Period. Next paragraph. Evolution catches you by surprise sometimes. Period. And because you are so fixated on your own individual consciousness, you sometimes pick apart the moment trying to figure out, quote unquote, well, what is it about my consciousness or our consciousness that brought this into bear, period, end of quotation mark, period, end of quotation mark. And that keeps you, once again, fixating on the matters at hand, period, next paragraph. Yes, everything is a result of consciousness, period, but there's my consciousness. Not just yours. Here. Everything's not revolving around what you think and what you do as humanity. Here. Next paragraph. The mother, Father, God, living creator of all things, am conscious. Here, even when you were speaking of your own consciousness, you were speaking of the ways in which you were using consciousness. Yeah. Here. There is such a thing as right action. Here, there is such a thing as divine authority. Here, those of you in metaphysical circles will pray for it quite often and fail to see it when it is in front of you. Here, why is this so? Question mark. I will answer. Next paragraph. You fail to see it in front of you because you have your own preconceived ideas about what it's supposed to look like. Period. You can't know one. Period. You cannot know specifics of divine design. It is beyond your human capabilities and capacities to understand. Period. However, that is not a free ticket for you to acquiesce your responsibility in the co-creation of bringing forth in the material realm the fruits of divine form and action. Here, understand what it is that I'm saying when it comes to children. Period. Next. You don't have to know what it's going to look like to call forth. Period. You don't have to know how love is going to express the call forth. Period. You don't have to know how the help is going to express the call forth. Period. You don't have to know what your children are going to be when they grow up to speak the word now for their highest and their best. Period. You don't know what the reconciliations are going to look like. You have no idea what the relationships are going to look like on the other side of the embittered estrangement. Period. You don't know. Period. Next paragraph. All you have to know is that it's good. Period. All you have to know is that it's right. Period. All that you have to know is that it's possible. Period. All you have to do is yield to the awareness that there is more that can happen than what you think. Period. Next paragraph. Don't try to limit it. Period. And stop judging. Period. Stop judging circumstances around. Period. You pray for healing and then get mad at the healing. Period. You pray for growth and then get pissed off at the change. Period. You pray for life and then get mad at the deaths that you have to go through in order to experience the more life. Period. Period. No. Can or what? No. Period. No. Period. No. Period. Know within your heart of hearts that there is so much more life than what meets the human eye. Period. Do not get stuck on the appearances. Period. Oh my, period. Always an illusion. You don't know what you're looking at anyway. Period. It doesn't even have meaning until you give it an interpretation. Period. Next paragraph. Stop naming things better. Period. Stop naming things as in your way. Period. Stop naming things as walls or permanent obstacles. Period. Just name it as the journey. That's next paragraph. Just name it as the journey. Period. Name it as the next step. Period. Name it as what needs to be healed is revealed. Period. In this way, you revel in the revelation. Period. Instead of being pissed off and upset about all the things that appear to be out of order, surfacing, you rejoice. You rejoice in that which needs to be healed coming into the light. Spirit, you can't heal the shadows staying in the dark. Period. You must realize. Period. You can't heal what you don't feel. Period. Don't be afraid to feel it. Period. Period. You cannot heal what you don't feel. Period. And it is in your unwillingness to feel it that you can't heal it. Do you really want to feel the pain of your brothers and sisters in order to be able to heal? Do you really want to feel the separation and the estrangement that is causing the deep social-political divide? Question mark. We stand in it and feel it long enough to let the heat of your inner light dissipate it. Question mark. You want to melt ice, you have to bring heat to the ice. The ice isn't going to the heat. The heat has to go to the ice. So what are you going to be? Question mark. Are you going to be ice? Question mark. Are you going to be frozen? Question mark. Are you going to be crystallized and looking at the path? As in the story in the Bible of Lot's wife, who turned into, quote unquote, a pillar of salt. Period. This is crystallized consciousness that's always looking behind, particularly for something to judge or to blame for why your expectations are not being met. Or are you willing to be the heat? Question one. Are you willing to be like the sun that lets your light shine upon the just and the unjust? Period. Are you willing to shine like the sun so brightly, undisturbed by everything else that's going on, so that the faults of confusion can melt away, dissipate? Question. Are you willing to be the heat, the warmth of the embrace that goes across the vines of divisiveness? That reaches out a hand of wholeness? That not only sees but reflects the God back in each other's eyes. Question one. These are evolutionary times, children. Period. Will you bless this time? Question mark. Will you give thanks for this time? Question mark. Will you rejoice in this time? Question mark. Will you see the opportunity? Question mark. Will you see me? And my handiwork? Question mark. And will you have the bold audacity to name it as such in the middle of the naysayers? Make it straight up. Will you rise to the occasion with my energy? Or will you allow the weight of the worry and the anger to weigh you down? Question. Will you speak power unto truth? Question one. Will you let yourself be deep calling unto deep? Question 1. Will you see everybody and everything is whole? Question 1. Parentheses. There cannot be wholeness if every body and everything isn't holy. Period in parentheses. Next paragraph. Think all of these things. Period. Meditate all of these things. Period. Open up your heart and your mind to these things. Period. Let your feet be guided towards these things. Period. May the work of your hand glorify who you are in me. And the great commission that is before you in such time as this.
Okay. We're going to stop this now. We're going to put this on YouTube. We will get this on our YouTube channel. So you'll be able to look at the whole thing. It's about half of it. From there, it goes into questions and answers. It is September the 20th, 2017 tape, even though I noticed during the reading I gave the wrong date. I said it was the 17th. But if you pull up the 20th, it will be the right one.
Did you say that?
Not yet, but it will be. It's on our server. It's making its way there. We've had some staff transitions recently that have bottlenecked a few things. But given that, let's just take a breath for a moment. That's a lot. A couple of you were here last week and was doing it live. I needed to hear it because I hadn't had a chance to hear it before right now. And I'm going to open it up to see if there are any reactions or responses to the message, either in whatever. Things you resonated with, things you liked, things that disturbed you, just whatever. Just going to open it up right now. Because there was a lot. There's a lot that was packed in there. Anybody have any comments or questions?
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder for me to remember I don't know how things will be on the other side, and where is my focus? Is it on spirit and consciousness, or am I getting into doubt or whatever? thinking I know what's on the other side. It's a good reminder. That part struck me.
Yeah, you know, I like the way that it said something like because you don't know how it's going to unfold, don't acquiesce. Don't acquiesce your responsibility to participate in the co-creative process. You know, do you want to say something about that? Was that what you were going to say something about?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Before I comment on that, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I was just talking this over with a mentor of mine in, you know, the area of my life that I would say is most disappointing. Actually, not really disappointing because I didn't expect anything different, is the political. But at the same time, it's, you know, so many people are, especially people of color, are having to go through, you know, a much worse situation right now in America than they have in a very long time, probably since the 60s or 50s. And with President Trump dividing, you know, like always leading in a divisive kind of way that gives permission to a big portion of his followers to just do the same thing, to mimic the same racist behavior, the same slurs. And, you know, I've heard it from my friends who are people of color that, you know, they have noticed, and it really, you know, they experience it in their lives where, you know, they're kind of run off the road or, you know, yelled at on the road or, you know, use the N-word or, you know, just all these kind of behaviors that are just, it's not okay to be racist. And yet our president himself acts racist, so everybody thinks it's okay. And so I find it super, super troubling. And I don't know how this is all going to turn out. I keep thinking, wow, this is a great opportunity because it's bringing people together and getting people to see the wounds and getting to see what really needs to be healed. As we always say, we need to see what we're healing before we actually heal it, or we need to feel it. And then with North Korea and the provocations that are happening with other countries, it's so huge. And it's like, okay, we can keep holding the vision, but it's like, I want to keep doing something towards the good. And what I resonated with the most in that message was, there was the example of the parent and the child. You don't know what your child is going to turn out like, and yet you keep giving it your love and your structure and your wisdom and your attention. And oftentimes, most times, they turn out just fine. And but I don't, you know, I would say it's our country, it's our body politic, and just wanting things to shift and wanting to be part of that shift, which I am, but feeling very frustrated about it and not feeling like things are just getting so much worse before they're getting better. But that's my frustration.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. And that frustration is echoed, you know, by many people. And it's just the turn of the tables now, because the people who are in the political positions of power now have felt this same frustration in reverse over the past 8 years. And that's why it's so huge, and that's why it's so reactionary. And that's why they're trying to move with such haste, because in their minds, everything went to a hell in a handbag and needs to be corrected. So you've got these two sides pitted against each other, each feeling like the other one is wrong and can't wait to take the power back, to put the other back in their place. Each side proclaiming itself to be the right, the true, the best, the real, the most ordained by God, the most evolved, the most enlightened, the most patriotic, the most true, the most real, the best, and a complete disdain and lack of trust of the so-called opposition, believing that they are none of those things. Good, patriotic, ordained, or whatever. And I'm not making light of it, but what I'm trying to say is that it's this construct that's in the way. Because as long as we have this construct, it's like a game of ping pong. We just go back and forth. For decades now, it's been 8 years of this party, and then 8 years of that party, and then 8 years of this party, and then 8 years of that party. You know? And each just reacting to whatever it was like the last one did. And I can't begin to tell you how the change is not going to happen this way. As long as we keep reacting to the material as opposed to responding to the spiritual. That if we listen to the things that we said, those of us who call ourselves progressive, how so much of the bulk of our speech is about what we don't want. And the bulk of the speech is a declaration of what it is that we see, and the continuous articulation of it fuels it. It reminds me of how frustrated I was at that banner and that slogan that came out during the Clinton campaign, Hillary's campaign, that love trumps hate. And I remember thinking to myself, that's got to be the dumbest political move I have ever seen. Why in the world would you put your opponent's name on your sign and your name's not even on there? So that every place you looked, whose name did you see? Like you're advertising the very thing that you say that you're against, and your name isn't even on it.
It also says a lot of Trump.
This is what I'm saying. It says a lot of Trump.
That's right.
Okay? So, but here's what we know. When we get into fear, when we are in that survival mode, we're working from our reptilian brain. And when we are working in the reptilian brain, we cannot access. You cannot access creativity. You cannot access choice. You cannot access the things that are like of the higher transformative level. This is a physiological fact. It's part of our survival mechanism. It's like basically, if you're being chased by a bear, that's not the time to stop and contemplate the meaning of life. You know, you get the hell out of there, or fight the bear, or do whatever it is that you have to do, but you stay in that realm. Are you with me? So what's happening now is that we have a nation that's being reptilian. We have a nation where all sides are feeling so threatened at such a base survival level that we're all operating from the reptilian brain, which is not kind, okay? Which is not gentle, which is not considerate, which is self-absorbed with its own self-protection. It's immature. It's not evolved. This message started talking about evolution. And this place of transformation and creativity and all the rest of that is in the frontal lobe, but it's our newer brain. So there becomes a loop that happens once you're in that survival mode. Now, some of us in the room here, particularly, you know, Linda just spoke, and you and Russell, do the prison outreach. Yeah, you know, we've been going to Pleasant Valley for 17 years, you know, as well as other prisons. And with the programs that we're doing, and when you look at people's lives and the things that have gotten them there, it's this stuff that we're talking about. It's this where through drug addiction or gang stuff or like whatever that was, their sense of survival trumped everything. And when you're just acting out of that, you're actually playing into the hands of the things that you don't want.
Well, you gotta see it.
You gotta rise above. Like I said, you can't take the ice to the heat. You have to take the heat to the ice. And I can appreciate this feeling that everybody says that they feel like they've got to do something. But what we keep missing is what we know about spiritual truth. Staying in the other vibration is doing something. And it is the most important thing that we can do. What we see in the material realm is just energy that's at lower frequency levels. There's a density that's in it, just like the ice. But you can't transform ice with more ice. You can't transform ice by getting down to the frequency vibration of ice. The only way that something's going to happen with ice is you got to melt it. And the only way it's going to melt is that if you bring in heat, if you are at a different frequency. So this idea of the not know, what Spirit is talking about is the realm of all potentiality, which is the 99.9999% of reality. Just let that soak in for a moment. That the matter, the crystallized matter that we see, is like people, places, and things. It's just a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of reality. So we keep trying to change matter with matter. We keep trying to change matter by thinking, I got to do something about the matter, when it's only that way because it's energy crystallized in such a low frequency. So if you want to change low frequency matter that is crystallized in low frequency, you cannot change it engaging it at that frequency. I don't care what it is. If we were talking about just health in the body temple, for example, you got a cold, you have cancer or something like that, you can't do something about the cancer. You know, you really can't do something about the cold. You can't. The only thing that you can do is up your chi. The only thing you can do is up your health. See, the only thing that you can do is re-stimulate and energize those parts of you that are not experiencing the disease or the illness. Strengthen your immune system. You know, work with what's right, work with what's working. It isn't that you ignore the fact that you've got a cold, or that you ignore the cancer, whatnot. It's that you can't dwell in it. You can't let it be your every waking thought. You can't let all of your energy and effort be in trying to fight it. That's just going to keep you in it.
Hello?
Yes.
Is it the Parkinson?
Can you help them? It's next week. It's the first Wednesday. You know, you can't solve it at the same level it was created. So we're jumping into the fear, trying to fight fear with more fear. We're trying to fight judgment with more judgment. Pain pushes until vision pulls. So we have to rally around a vision of where we want to go. And not just, you know, we got to fight this, and, you know, Trump's doing that, and this was doing that, and this was doing that. We got to say, we're going here. Instead of talking about, and I'm not criticizing you, I'm talking about like us and, you know, collective consciousness. Instead of talking about how nasty everybody's being, we need to turn around and say, you know what, we're starting the kindness campaign. Okay? I am going to practice making certain that every time somebody that I think is an asshole acts like an asshole, instead of me responding to their assholeness with more assholeness, you know,
That's a good idea.
they cut me off while I'm driving, you know, and I get mad at them, and then they shoot me the bird, and call me an asshole, and then I'm thinking, what an asshole for calling me an asshole. And now we're all
Assholes.
assholes. Exactly. If we say, you know what? They go down, we go high. Every time some of this bullshit happens, hey, we're going up. We're going to strengthen this. Anybody, I don't care what, you can look at Malala, you can look at Desmond Tutu, you can look at the Dalai Lama, you can Thich Nhat Hanh, you can look at anybody, Gandhi, anybody who has accomplished any kind of significant social upliftment. This is what they practice. They didn't get down into it. You know, what did King do after Bloody Sunday? He didn't get out the billy clubs, say, let's go whoop some ass. No. The first thing he did, he called on clergy. He said, I am calling for religious leaders all over the world. And 1,000, bam, showed up like that. It's a different moral authority. Okay. And with that moral authority, they got the federal government to back them up. Okay? Because he stood in his vision. Are you with me? He didn't get swayed by what everybody else was doing. He knew what his purpose was. He knew where he was going. So they get there, they're on the bridge, and they're meeting against the horses and everything again. But you know what he does? He backs down. He backs down. We're not going to sacrifice another 1,000 people to this brutality. But what happened? It got televised, baby. The world got to see it. The first one got televised. The second one got televised. And because they already knew what happened on the first one, people could look there and they were like with bated breath.
And everyone was watching.
And like the Tao Te Ching says, when two great forces come up against each other, the victory goes to the one who knows how to yield. So they made their statement. They came. But they backed down. And they walked back. Then the federal government came. Why? Because people were incensed. So when we say it looks like it keeps getting worse, unfortunately, sometimes that's what it takes. In our own lives, in the collective consciousness, the collective is nothing more than the individual supersized. How many of us really make the turn when we can or when it's easy? How many of us give up our addictions when we're doing just fine? You know, how many of us make the great turns? You don't even know that the roof is leaking in the sunshine. It takes some bad weather for you to even know that you got holes in your roof. And I'm not saying that I like it or that I'm glorifying it, but all I'm saying is that it's part of the process. If your body's healing, it's going to look like it's getting worse. It's going to look stiff, black and blue, pussy, scabs, and underneath the scab is new skin. But it's got to get the scab on there to protect the new skin while it's going through the change. The road to healing, if you just look at it, isn't pretty. And if you just look at it, it looks like it's going backwards. I want to get up. But your body says, you're going to lay down the next couple of months. That's what you're going to do. It's like, well, I want to get up. Well, okay. Let me tell you something. Before we can get up, we going to stay down. Because in staying down is how I'm going to get the strength to go up. But if you try to push me up now to fit your vision of healing, it's not going to happen. It is doing something. And what people don't understand is that when you let yourself go up in consciousness, then it gets revealed to you what is the stuff you should be doing in the material realm. You have to elevate to escalate. You know, you can't figure out what's next wallowing in it. It would be just like a one-on-one relationship. If you're Let's say it's your significant other, you know, your spouse, a partner, and you're battling it out. You're just, and you really want that relationship healed. Well, you're not going to get that relationship healed bad-mouthing each other. You're not going to get that relationship healed blasted all over social media, everything your partner's doing that you think is bad or terrible. You're not going to get to that place of the healing by dwelling in how bad or wrong or how awful or in that fear or distrust mode. That relationship is not going to heal. You're just going to keep reinforcing the sense of estrangement that you already have. And sometimes to find that love, you got to step away.
And it won't heal by ignoring it either.
No, hell no. Ignoring has never healed anything. Sometimes you have to dislodge from the energy of where you, this thing, because it sucks you in. It sucks you in. But there is power that happens in unity. There's power that happens in trust and truth and compassion. And if we just spend literally like 10 minutes a day, like synchronize, all of us that are concerned, we just spend 10 minutes a day. Whatever, from 7 to 7:10 every day. Boom. We're going to lock in and open up the spirit. Worlds will start happening. Because most of energy is just waiting to come forth. It's like any other kind of creativity. We're acquiescing our creativity. We're acquiescing it. And I'm going to add something on here, which is that in the beginning of this message, it was talking about evolution. And explaining that when something's evolutionary, that which is coming forth predates the circumstances. See, when you're just trying to transform, you're looking at what is and you're trying to get away from it. And that's what we're doing with our body politic now. It's as though this drama that's happening here now is the fact, and how can we move away from this? As opposed to this sense of, wait a minute, there's something else that's more natural. There's something else that's like more real. And I'm so riveted in that and so convinced of that, that I already know this can't stay. I don't have to give this a sense of power like over me. It's like a cold. This is, you know, this is like, oh, good. Thank God I know I've got this cancer. Now we can heal it. You know, now we can deal with it. Gee, wow, I didn't know it was stage 4, which is what a lot of people are doing now. We're in stage 4 racism. Whoa, I didn't know. I thought we were over it, you know, because we elected Obama. It was like, oh, Jesus, you know, this is what's going on. Yeah.
There was an interesting usage of the word eclipse.
Uh-huh.
That what we're seeing is eclipsing our vision
Yes.
of what is.
Yes.
And the word, I mean, eclipse, there's nothing. I mean, the light is taken away.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that is the light now is the eclipse. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Look on that. It's, for us to see, we have to not see. We have to, maybe Shafis is holding that one. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Or like Beckwith says, you know, when you get to this point, he says, what you do see, you won't see, and what you don't see, you will. Yeah. We have to look through it. We have to look beyond it. I'm not saying that we have to be naive, but we know this about healing. Let's just act like we know. Like Spirit said, know what you know. If it was cancer, it'd be a no-brainer to most of us. If it were cancer, we would understand that I am not going to heal obsessing about the cancer. I am not going to heal by thinking of all of the worst scenarios that can possibly happen and all of this cancer can do for me and do to me, and I am not going to heal that way. We know this is a wake-up call for something dramatically different, and that if this cancer heals, it's going to have to heal because there's a new me. That the me I was is part of the reason why I'm here. And in order to heal, I can't stay here. And I got to stop being me somehow. And the reason why I'm saying this is that I don't find many progressives willing to assume any responsibility whatsoever for things being the way that they are. They're in such judgment and blame. Like I can just scoop out this cancer and everything's going to be fine. We could just scoop out these neo-Nazi alt-right people and like everything's going to be just fine, without taking any look at the fact of how has my consciousness or how has the way that we've been showing up been part of the problem. What do we need to do to change? Not just what do we need to fight these people over here, but how are we part of this situation?
I'd like to speak to that. I had breast cancer. I had it. And I'm really glad I told you, Reverend Deborah, because if I hadn't told you, I would still be sitting here, maybe, wallowing in it. You brought forth the idea that this is old stuff. You said, it's old stuff. That's what it is. It needs to be viewed. And that's what I did. You, by saying what you did, helped me to change my consciousness. And I'm so glad I told you about it. Because that's what you did. You helped me to turn my consciousness around. And then before that, when I was where Linda was at, being frustrated about, God, this is going on, what can I do, what can I do? And Reverend Deborah said to me, do the inner work, do the inner work. So it always went back to that. And so with the cancer, I did the inner work. Well, what brought this about in the first place? And I worked my butt off on that one. Thank God I did that. Thank God I told you and you said what you said.
And how long ago was all of this?
I was diagnosed in early April.
So like 6 months ago.
Yeah, and
this is recent. Is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
this is all very recent.
It's not. I'm cancer free. Yeah, I mean, I didn't just have the surgery. I had prayer. I had heaps of prayer, and wow. Yeah, I mean, and healing, and the inner work that I did, thanks to you. I wouldn't have thought to look there.
Well,
and I would have been sitting and wallowing in my fear over the whole thing.
Well, every week you were telling me basically a little bit of disappointment in these sessions, that you were here because you wanted to know how are you going to engage like these conservative people. You wanted the skills, like how am I gonna do this, or whatnot. And I kept sending you back to do your work, like to do your own inner work, to prepare yourself, to get ready to do it. It's not unlike Karate Kid, wax on, wax off, paint the fence, not paint, he's waiting to do karate, but not realizing that he's getting the skills. And to do this change work that we're talking about, you have to have those skills. This stuff that I am talking about, like doing the inner work, going within, doing the visualization, doing the visioning, getting so so that it becomes your reality. That's that job of that frontal lobe, is that just like when you're in that reptilian brain, that it takes priority over everything. Well, it's interesting, this frontal lobe works is like command central. So that when we're in that creative state, it actually shuts off all our other sensory stuff and even our perception of time. Which is why if we're really engrossed in something that's very creative to us, we forget the pain. We lose time. We're single-minded and we're like single-focused, and that becomes like our reality and our experience. When we're in that creative thing, it doesn't matter whether it's actually coming to the manifestation or not. I've seen the mountain, I've been there, I've seen it. I can already feel it. I'm excited about it. It may take 3 more years for us to actually build it, but it's already real to me. Are you with me? And we have to spend that time getting to the point where it's real to us, where the vision that we have of the possibility and everything else is so real, we cannot be dissuaded. We cannot be. They didn't just go and march in the streets. They trained. They trained. This is what to do when the dogs come. This is to do when the hoses comes. This is what to do. The freedom riders, they put ketchup on each other's heads, and spit on each other, just to make sure that when they got there, they had the stamina and the capacity. I don't usually use these terms, but we're talking war here. We're talking a spiritual battlefield, so to speak. You gotta go to boot camp. You just can't like jump in there and think you're going to tackle large energetic armies who really believe that they're right, really believe they have the power. So we can't come up here wimpy, wishy-washy. We're not really sure, and and they're so strong, and when are they going to change? And woo. These conservatives, that's not what they spent the last 8 years doing. They were like, oh, hell to the no. Oh, hell, we taking this motherfucker back. That's what we gonna do. No. No. And we're like, oh, maybe, can we? Is it going to? And are they gonna let us? And we didn't know it. We gotta be just as strong. Just as strong. It just is, hell to the no. This is not the world that we want. We want this and this and this, and this is what we see. Well, we have said it so much that it's like rolling off our tongues, and that's all that we can see. We just can't even accept anything else because it's all that we can see. And that's what we've gotten off. We've gotten lazy, to be honest with you. We've gotten lazy in our practice. We've gotten lazy in our discipline. We've become like little self-absorbed in our trinkets and like our own creature comforts. And kind of this live and let live we haven't been as bold in a view of a collective society. See? Well, that's where the ultra-conservatives live. It's the society that they want. Well, not just that it's the society that they want, but that form, shape, values. They're very values-driven. And it goes in a package. Fundamentalism, conservatism, nationalism, religious conservatism. It all goes in this package of a world view that's like orderly, and that it looks a certain way. And it's supposed to be a certain kind of way that, once again, in their mind is preordained. They don't think they're changing things. They think they're saving. They think they're restoring things back to the way that it should be. Everybody always thinks that. Nobody takes the first punch. Everybody always thinks that they're acting defensively. All I'm saying is that they've outfaithed us, like I've talked about before. Their belief that war is the answer is greater than most of our belief that peace really is the answer. It's like we want it to be, we know it could be, but we allow the war mongering to eclipse that, so that in our minds we give more power to the weapons than to peace. The question, could peace really ever prevail in the face of all these weapons?
Don't know.
And it's our job to know the difference.
Time to stop dancing.
Especially to their tune. It's time to stop dancing to everybody else's tune. We're like the marionettes. Yeah. This is the economy. This is Trump. This is like this. And they said no. And if we're not coming with this love in our hearts, and I mean it, like love for everybody. In the I Have a Dream speech, it's a very powerful speech that most people just don't really listen to. But even in the little part, we just did the 54-year anniversary of that speech, just in that little part about the I Have a Dream, most people aren't really catching it. When he says that I have a dream that the sons of slaves and slave owners will walk hand in hand, that's radical. Or the little white kids and little black kids, that was heretical. But is that our dream? Okay, is it your dream that your kids and Trump kids are going to walk hand in hand? Is it your dream? If you're a Holocaust surviving family, is it your dream that your kids, survivors of the Holocaust, are going to walk hands in hands with the sons and daughters of the Nazis? Hello?
Just happened on the football field.
Because if that's not where we're going, we're still part of the problem. We're part of the problem. Not just them, but we're part of the problem. We're part of the divisiveness. We're part of the estrangement. We're part of the separation. We're part of the otherness. We're part of the dualistic thinking. We're part of it. And thinking somehow we can have all this change, upset other people's lives, and assume no responsibility for it, or not even care. It's like, nope, that's not how it goes.
There was a part of the message from last week, spirit message, that really got me. That just kind of opened my heart was where Spirit says something like us being all wrapped up in our own consciousness. Spirit says, what about my consciousness? Wow. You know, that really did it for me. That. Because that's it. We really are so wrapped up in our own stuff that we call consciousness. What about Spirit's consciousness? Forgotten, pushed aside. It doesn't matter. Deeply.
It reminds me, and we can end here. We got started a little late, but it reminds me that joke I tell sometimes about the scientists that find the genome code, and they decide that they're going to challenge God to a race about who can create a human being the fastest. You know, so they go out into the desert. It's like mark it, set, go, and the scientists go down and they scoop up some clay, and God said, get your own dirt. Everything that we use is spirits.
Everything what?
Everything that we use is spirits. And we forget the 99.99999% focusing on the little bitty fraction of what actually meets the eye. What we see is such a small, I mean, we can't even see the cells in our body. We can't see anything. We can't see the stars. The stars are out there. They're not going to come out at night. They didn't go anywhere. They're still there. We just can't see it because of the luminosity of the sun right now. But we just can't see it. But it's like everything's all over the place, but we just can't see it. You can't see what's behind your head. That doesn't mean it's not there. We can't see New York from Santa Cruz. That doesn't mean it's not there. We see so little.
Right after the 9 election, I was here, and it was Chicken Little. I mean, and people were yelling at me because I wasn't participating, and it's all, you know, we're losing the earth. And then I went to the memorial service for the loss of America at the Rio, and the first 2 people were Chicken Littlers, and then you and watch this book and put their spin on it. And so here I go to the Rio, see Marianne Williamson. And so I said, well, what can we do? What can we do? She says, let's pray. We need to pray for the president. So she sent out a prayer, and I sat with 600 people praying for the president of the United States, praying for Trump, not hating Trump, not yelling at him, praying for Trump. And if 600 people in Santa Cruz can do that, you know, and with Marianne Williamson, progressive people can do that. Can you imagine what the whole county did? Yeah, the whole state. Let's pray for ISIS.
Yeah.
You know, because this isn't just here.
No.
No, this is the triangles everywhere. It seems like the appearance is it's worse, but let's not let that eclipse us.
No, let's not. I have the honor in a couple of weeks to speak at the SAND conference, the Science and Non-Duality Conference. It's going to be in San Jose. I think it's October the 19th to the 24th or something. That's about 5 days. And a lot of you know, heavy hitters and regulars and people you would think of like Deepak and whatnot. And I'm doing at least 3 things. One of them is I'm on a panel around like spirituality and social justice with a number of people, including Andrew Harvey, who's been here a couple of times. And then I was asked to do another spot, a solo spot, where I'm going to be talking about this idea of the non-duality that we know of for spiritual and scientific standpoint, what its implications are for social justice work. And I'm just going to be hitting that hard. How we drop the ball on what it is that we know when it comes up against the people we hate or dislike or, disagree with. Suddenly, everything we know about oneness and non-duality goes straight out the window, and we operate from another paradigm. Yes, and I'm so pleased that, I was asked to do, like my own, spot, in presentation as well. But this is where the rubber hits the road. Can we? It's in San Jose at it's a place I hadn't heard of before, the Dulce something mansion. But if you look up SAND, SAND, Science and Non-Duality, the SAND Conference 2017, you'll see all the information. It's there, and we're going to be advertising it more on social media too. So,
your day is the 19th?
I am that Thursday, I think.
It's the 19th.
Or Friday. Yeah, I think I'm the 19th and I'm Sunday. No, it's Friday and Sunday. I'm Friday and Sunday. Yeah. Yeah, it should be really good.
So you won't be here that Sunday.
No, Ben Saltzman's going to be speaking that Sunday. So,
what I was going to say about that, just what you just said, is that it seems like in the past there has been a leader, like a Martin Luther King or something like that, who has the pivotal focus to help people take that higher ground.
Well, we're in a big movement, and I do see a number of people who are rising to that occasion. Russell just mentioned Marianne Williamson, for one. I think Van Jones has been doing, a really brilliant job, of that as well. And it's going to be really, really important that we do get to the point where we have more of those leaders, particularly on the political front. People who are politicians, who are able to stand in that. And, as far as I'm concerned, we've already seen, the best of the best of what that looks like. The Obamas, they were just pure class, just pure class acts. And
they need
in all of this.
More.
No, I realize that, and I think people are just now realizing it. Obama kept saying it over and over again. Basically, you got me in office, but
failed.
Yeah, but then you bailed on me. You've bailed on me and just left me here with the Tea Party. And people are really realizing now how much they were taking everything for granted. So, on that note, we're going to give ourselves what?
Permission.
Permission to what?
Be all
We can be. All right, let's sing ourselves out of here. And I give myself a permission to be all I can be. I give myself permission to live passionate, and we give ourselves a permission to be all we can be. We give ourselves permission to live passionate and free. Hey, I'll do that. Let us take this consciousness and
multiply.
Multiply.